Have you ever stood up from your favorite chair and felt like your legs were just off? Not painful, exactly. Not numb, just weaker, slower, less reliable than they used to be. Maybe it takes a little more effort to climb stairs. Maybe you don't walk quite as far as you once did. And maybe, just maybe, you've chalked it up to age. Because everyone says, that's just what happens after 60, right? But what if that's not true? What if something you're taking, something you've been told is good for you, is slowly draining the strength from your legs, one capsule at a time? It sounds hard to believe, I get it, because for decades we've all been told to take our vitamins, that more is better, that supplements are safety nets, insurance policies for our health, and for some nutrients that's absolutely true. But here's the twist most people never hear. Certain vitamins, taken in the wrong form or in excess, can actually do more harm than good, especially as we get older, especially when it comes to your legs. This isn't about scaring you, it's about freeing you. Because once you understand which vitamins could be weakening your muscles, interfering with nerve signals, or throwing off your balance, you can take back control. You can stop guessing. You can start healing. And the changes, when they happen, can feel almost immediate. That tightness behind your knees, that weird buzzing sensation in your calves at night, that aching fatigue after walking around the block. It's not always aging. It's often chemistry. And it's completely within your power to fix. Now, I want to be clear. Vitamins aren't the enemy. Your body needs them. But your body at 60 or 70 or 80 is not the same as your body at 30. Your metabolism has changed. Your absorption rates have changed. The way your nerves and muscles communicate has changed. And when you introduce certain supplements into that more sensitive, more reactive system, you can get results you never intended, like muscle cramps, swelling, weakness, even falls. I remember talking to Robert. He's 72, used to be a construction foreman, still chops wood in the winter to keep fit. He told me he started getting these strange spasms in his legs at night. Couldn't sleep. Felt like electricity shooting down his calves. He tried magnesium, he stretched, he hydrated. Nothing worked. And then we looked at his supplement stack. 2 multivitamins, a separate vitamin A pill, cod liver oil every morning. All of them high in retinol, the active form of vitamin A. He thought he was protecting his vision, but he was overdosing his nervous system. We pulled the vitamin A. Within a week, the spasms stopped. His balance improved. That's not coincidence, that's clarity. And Robert's story is just one of many. Because when you start listening to your body, really listening, it tells you everything. The trouble is, we've been taught to ignore it. We take supplements because we read a headline, because a neighbor said it helped them, because it's been sitting in the cabinet for years. We don't stop to ask, is this right for me, right now? That's what this video is here to do. Not to villainize vitamins, but to put them in context, to empower you with understanding, to give you the knowledge to make smarter choices, not just for your legs, but for your independence. Because here's the hard truth no one wants to say out loud. When you lose your legs, you lose your freedom. You stop walking as far. You stop going out alone. You stop feeling safe in your own body. And little by little, your world shrinks. But that doesn't have to happen, because your legs aren't gone. They're not failing you. They're asking for help. And once you stop feeding them the wrong inputs and start giving them what they actually need, strength comes back. Stability returns. Energy flows again. You start walking taller, moving smoother, feeling like yourself. Not a version of yourself that's fading, but a version that's waking up. So, stay with me. Because what we're going to explore in the next few minutes could change everything. We're going to look at the 2 vitamins most likely to be weakening your legs. Yes, even though they're sold as healthy. We're going to understand why they're a problem after 60, how to know if they are affecting you, and most importantly, what to do instead. This isn't about fear. This is about truth. And the truth, when you face it with the right mindset, becomes a tool, a map, a way out of the frustration you've been living with for too long. Your legs aren't the problem, but they might be the clue. And this is where we begin. Let's go deeper now, because here's the part that's hard to hear, but essential to understand. Some of the most popular vitamins, the ones sold in every store, the ones labeled with words like immune support and daily strength, are actually making leg weakness worse for millions of people over 60. And most don't even know it. Not because the labels are lying, but because they're not telling you what happens inside an older body. They're designed for the average adult, not the senior body that's shifting, slowing, and more sensitive in ways no multivitamin bottle ever mentions. Let me introduce you to one of the biggest culprits, excess vitamin A. It sounds surprising, doesn't it? Because vitamin A is supposed to help your vision, your skin, even your immune system. And it can, but only in the right amount. And that's the key. Too much vitamin A, especially in the form of retinol or retinol palmitate, which is often found in multivitamins or separate supplements, builds up in the body over time. And unlike water-soluble vitamins like B and C, vitamin A is fat-soluble. That means your body stores it. And if you're taking more than you need day after day, it starts to build up in your liver, your tissues, and even your nerves. So, what does that look like in real life? Well, that weird ache behind your knees, that subtle stiffness when you first stand up, that's not just getting older. That can be neurotoxicity. That's your nerves reacting to an overload they weren't designed to handle. I've heard people say things like, "It feels like my legs are tired even when I haven't walked," or "I feel unsteady, but my doctor says everything looks normal." And I always ask, what are you taking? Because more often than not, there's a hidden overload happening quietly in the background. And here's the part that really matters. The body over 60 doesn't clear vitamin A as easily. Your metabolism is slower. Your liver function may not be what it once was. Your body holds on to what it used to process out. And that can create a buildup without any obvious warning, until you start feeling it in your legs. Let me tell you about someone named Nancy. She's 69, full of life, volunteers 3 days a week at her community center. But for months, she kept feeling like her legs didn't belong to her. Wobbly, uncertain, like the ground wasn't stable. Her doctor checked everything. Blood pressure, circulation, even a brain scan. Nothing. Then we looked at her supplements. She was taking a multivitamin, cod liver oil, and a separate vitamin A capsule, all without knowing they were stacking. Every single day. We cut out everything with added vitamin A and replaced it with food-based support. Carrots, sweet potatoes, spinach. Within 10 days, her legs started feeling steadier. Within a month, she said, "I feel grounded again. I didn't realize how off balance I'd become." That's the power of awareness, not panic, not paranoia, just paying attention to what your body's been trying to tell you all along. But vitamin A isn't the only one. There's another vitamin, one that most people take for bone strength, for immune protection, especially in the winter. It's in nearly every multivitamin. It's often prescribed by doctors without second thought. But in high doses, especially without the proper balance of minerals, it can cause more damage than benefit. And for older adults, that damage often lands in the legs. You probably know which one I'm talking about. Vitamin D. Yes, vitamin D. The sunshine vitamin. The one we all hear about for osteoporosis and mood and staying strong. And it's true, vitamin D is essential, but only in the right dose. Only with the right balance. Because too much vitamin D, especially from supplements, can cause calcium overload in the bloodstream. That calcium, instead of going to the bones where it's needed, starts to deposit in soft tissue, in blood vessels, in joints, in muscles. And that's when you start feeling tightness, spasms, restless legs, cramping that seems to come out of nowhere. It's not a coincidence, it's chemistry gone sideways, and it happens quietly. Especially when someone's taking 5,000 or 10,000 IUs of vitamin D every day without checking levels, without magnesium, without balance. Your body needs a partnership. Vitamin D doesn't work alone. It needs magnesium, vitamin K2, and proper calcium regulation to function properly. Without those partners, it can cause more tension than support. And here's what makes it worse. Many seniors are told to take high-dose D without ever testing their blood levels. But vitamin D is also fat-soluble. Like vitamin A, it builds up. And if your levels are already sufficient, or worse, high, taking more can push you into toxic territory without you realizing it. Not immediately, not obviously, but gradually. In your legs, in your balance, in your energy. I spoke with someone recently, Michael, 74. He told me he felt like his legs had become springs, tense, reactive, like they were always one step away from cramping. He was taking 10,000 IU of vitamin D daily because someone told him more is better. We ran his labs. His blood vitamin D was 120, way above the optimal range. His magnesium was low, his calcium was high. We adjusted everything. Pulled back the vitamin D, added magnesium, introduced leafy greens, almonds, seeds. 3 weeks later, he said, "I can finally sleep through the night without my calves waking me up." That's the shift I want for you. Not just to feel a little better, but to feel like yourself again. Not stiff, not sore, not fragile, just present, clear, strong. And it begins by questioning what you're taking, not out of fear, but out of wisdom. Because your body is wise. It remembers how to function. It just needs the right signals. And sometimes, the bravest thing you can do is stop putting in what you thought was helping and start listening to what's really happening inside. You're not broken. You're just overdue for clarity. And that clarity, it's coming. In the next part, I'm going to show you how to reset, how to know what to keep, what to skip, and how to rebuild your leg strength from the inside out, starting today. Stay with me. You're closer than you think. Let's take a breath right here. Because by now, maybe you're thinking, I had no idea. I thought I was doing everything right. And you were. You were doing what you thought was right, what you were told, what everyone around you was doing. You were trying to protect your bones, support your energy, stay healthy. You weren't making a mistake. You were making the best choice with the information you had. But now you have better information. Now you can make choices that work not just in theory, but in your body, right now, at this season of life. And that's where it gets exciting. Because once you stop giving your body the wrong signals, once you remove the silent triggers like excess retinol or high-dose vitamin D without balance, your legs start to respond. Your nerves stop firing in protest. Your muscles stop holding tension. They were never meant to carry. You start to feel ease again. Movement without effort, stillness without discomfort, sleep without waking from cramps or buzzing, or that strange invisible heaviness that settles behind your knees. But knowing what to stop is only half the story. Now we rebuild. Not with guesswork, not with trends, but with nutrients that your older body can actually absorb, use, and benefit from without overload or confusion. Let's talk about support. Let's talk about what your legs are really asking for. The first thing is balance, not just in your diet, but in your chemistry. Because the truth is, leg strength isn't just about muscle. It's about nerves, blood flow, and cellular energy. And your body needs help making all of that work together. So the question isn't just, what vitamin should I take? The better question is, what's missing that would allow my body to feel stable again? One of the most underappreciated answers, magnesium. This mineral is like a master switch for muscle function. It calms nerve signals. It relaxes tight fibers. It prevents those sudden spasms that make you jump out of bed at 2 a.m. And here's what most people don't know. Magnesium helps your body use vitamin D correctly. Without it, vitamin D can become a stressor. But with it, everything smooths out. And magnesium deficiency is incredibly common in seniors. Not because you're doing something wrong, but because stress, medications, and age all drain it. And when it's low, your legs are the first to know. That weird sense of tightness in your calves, that's often magnesium talking. That foot that jerks at night, that restless twitch when you're trying to relax, that's your body asking for this mineral in a language you may not have realized you understood. And magnesium isn't the only ally your legs are missing. There's another one, B12. We've talked about it before, but it bears repeating here, because B12 is critical for nerve function, not just for energy or mood, but for the tiny electrical signals that tell your legs how to move. And here's what's heartbreaking. So many seniors are B12 deficient and never told, because their doctors run the wrong test. Or worse, they look at a normal number and say, "You're fine," when you're anything but. You could be walking around with leg numbness, poor balance, a shuffling gait, foot drop, and still be told it's just aging. But if your B12 is low, you can reverse those symptoms. Not with a pill, but with the right kind of B12. Methylcobalamin, ideally under the tongue or through injections if needed. Because when you bypass the gut, your nerves get the support they've been begging for. And the change can be dramatic. I've seen people who couldn't walk a block without fatigue start dancing again. Literally dancing. Because the nerves woke up. The legs remembered. This is what rebuilding looks like. It's not flashy, it's not overnight, but it's powerful, it's lasting, it's yours. You might be wondering, what about food? Can I get all of this from diet? And here's the truth. Yes, you can get some of it. But after 60, absorption isn't what it used to be. That beautiful salad might be full of minerals, but your body needs the right enzymes, the right stomach acid, the right conditions to extract them. That's why supplementation, done wisely, done gently, can be a game changer. Not as a crutch, but as a bridge to help you get what food alone can't always deliver in this season of life. So, where do you begin? Not with 10 pills a day, not with another expensive supplement. You begin with awareness, with removing what no longer serves you, with looking at every label and asking, do I really need this? And then you ask, what does my body feel like it's missing? You start slow. A high absorption magnesium glycinate taken at night to help you sleep deeper and wake with less tension. A B12 lozenge in the morning under the tongue to help your nerves fire clean and your legs step steady. Maybe a day or two without your multivitamin, just to see if your stiffness improves. You become curious, not afraid, empowered, not overwhelmed, because your body is talking. And now, finally, you're listening. In the next part, I'll show you what a full 7-day reset looks like, how to gently clear the overload, support what's missing, and track your progress so you know exactly what's working. You won't be guessing anymore. You'll be feeling. And when you feel stronger, steadier, and more alive in your own legs, everything changes. So don't go anywhere. The most powerful part is still to come. Let's walk together into something that's more than advice. Let's walk into a reset. A real, honest, deeply supportive 7 days that are designed not to overwhelm, but to awaken. Because what if just 1 week of clarity could change how your legs feel when you stand up, how steady you feel when you walk, how confident you feel in your body again? You don't need a complicated protocol. You don't need 17 pills and a timer. You need rhythm. You need restoration. And that starts on day 1. It begins with what you don't do. That multivitamin with high-dose retinol, put it away. That vitamin D capsule you've been taking for months without knowing your blood levels, press pause. You don't throw them away. You don't make it dramatic. You just stop the noise. You create space. Because your body can't speak clearly when it's being flooded with the wrong signals. And sometimes, subtraction is the most powerful form of support. And as you quiet that chaos, you begin gently adding in what's missing. Each morning, before the day begins, you drink a tall glass of water. Nothing fancy, just hydration to remind your body, we're flushing, we're cleansing, we're resetting. Then you take your B12, sublingual methylcobalamin. It melts under your tongue while you breathe. And while it melts, you remind yourself, this isn't about pills. This is about nerve connection. This is about energy being restored to places that forgot what alive felt like. You eat breakfast, real food, maybe 2 eggs with sautéed spinach, maybe steel-cut oats with a handful of almonds. You don't count calories. You count nourishment, protein, fat, minerals, the building blocks of strength. Your legs feel that support more than you know. Midday you move. Doesn't matter how far, doesn't matter how fast. Just move. A walk to the mailbox, a few laps around the house, a gentle stretch. You breathe as you go. You say to yourself, these are my legs. They are learning to trust me again. Because they are. And they will. At lunch, you keep it simple. Chicken, lentils, soup with vegetables that grew in real soil. You're not chasing perfection. You're choosing calm. Choosing blood sugar stability. Choosing nutrients that feed your muscles instead of spiking your inflammation. And sometime before dinner, you check in. How do your legs feel? Heavy? Restless? Or a little lighter than yesterday? You write it down. Not for the world, for yourself. Because the body speaks in patterns, and patterns only become clear when you start noticing them. Dinner is grounding, fish, sweet potatoes, a side of greens, maybe some quinoa, and before bed, your magnesium. Not oxide, the cheap kind that upsets your stomach. Magnesium glycinate or citrate. Something gentle, something that knows how to calm, how to soothe, how to invite real rest. And then you sleep. Not hoping for change, trusting it. Because now, you're not guessing, you're guiding. You're choosing every bite, every supplement, every habit with intention, and your body is listening. By day 3, something starts to shift. That buzzing in your feet after dinner, it's quieter. That tension in your calves when you first get up, it's less sharp. You still feel it. But there's a gap between discomfort and dysfunction. And in that gap, you realize something is working. By day 5, your walk feels different. The floor feels steadier. Your balance returns. Not because you trained it, but because you stopped burdening your nerves with excess and started feeding them what they've needed for years. And by day 7, you look in the mirror, not for wrinkles, not for age, but for clarity. And you see it. Not in your face, in your posture, in the way you stand, the way you're not leaning quite so much on the counter or gripping the railing as tightly. You feel capable, stable, present. And it's only been a week. This is what happens when you stop following noise and start listening to your body. When you stop fearing age and start honoring it. When you stop asking your legs to perform without ever giving them what they need. This isn't about a miracle. This is about biology. This is about finally matching your habits to the truth of your stage in life and realizing that strength is not gone. It was buried, under overload, under misinformation, under the weight of supplements that didn't serve you. And now that weight is lifting. In the next part, we're going to take this momentum and give it staying power. I'll show you how to build a sustainable senior smart supplement plan that keeps your legs supported, your nerves protected, and your confidence alive, not for a week, but for the rest of your journey. Stay with me. You've come too far to turn back now. You've made it, not just to the end of a video, but to the beginning of something new. Because after all the advice, the explanations, the science, and the stories, what matters most is this. You now understand your body in a way that most people never do. You've pulled back the curtain. You've connected the dots. And that connection? That's where power begins. Now let's give it direction. What you've done this past week, or what you're about to do, matters. You've created space. You've removed the excess. You've given your body permission to come back into balance. But the next step is what makes it last. And that step is consistency, not perfection, not obsession. Just a rhythm of care that honors what your legs, your nerves, and your heart really need. Let's keep it simple. You continue with your magnesium, not forever, maybe. But until your sleep is steady, your calves stay quiet, and your muscles stop whispering for help in the middle of the night. You'll know when it's time to scale back. Your body will tell you. It always does. You stay with your B12, especially if you're plant-based, or on medications like metformin or acid blockers, or if you've ever had digestive issues, but you keep it gentle. Methylcobalamin, under the tongue, a few times a week if your levels are up, or daily if you're rebuilding. You're not forcing anything. You're supporting communication. The nervous system, after all, is a conversation. And B12 is how it speaks clearly. You check your vitamin D through a blood test, not a guess. You aim for optimal, not excessive, somewhere between 40 and 60. If you're in the sun often, maybe you don't need as much. If you're indoors a lot, maybe you supplement gently, but you always pair it with magnesium and K2, because these vitamins don't live in isolation. They need each other, just like we do. And when it comes to your multivitamin, you ask better questions. You look at the label. You see if it's using retinol or beta-carotene. You see if the doses are sky-high or senior-sensitive. You don't blindly trust it because it's on the shelf. You remember that not all health comes in a bottle. Sometimes, the best decision is not what you add, but what you stop. And beyond supplements, you build meals that feed strength, not sugar spikes. Protein at every meal, healthy fats, leafy greens, foods that speak fluently to your muscles, not confuse them with chaos. You drink water, not just for hydration, but to help your cells carry the nutrients you worked so hard to absorb. And you move, every day, even a little. Not because you should, but because your body is asking. To be used, to be trusted, to be reminded. You're still here, and you still work. Maybe not like you used to, but maybe in some ways better, wiser, more aware. You don't have to do it all at once. You don't have to remember every detail. You just have to care enough to begin. One small habit at a time, and over time, those habits become healing. They become freedom. And here's the part I want you to hear louder than anything else I've said. Your strength is not gone. It's waiting. It's still inside you. Covered up maybe, slowed down perhaps, but not lost, not broken, not too late. Because your legs, they're not giving out. They're crying out. And now, finally, you're listening. And that listening, that's what makes the difference between decline and comeback. So you walk forward now with more than hope. You walk forward with a plan, with knowledge, with clarity, and with the kind of courage that only comes from facing the truth and deciding, I'm not done. And you're not. You're just getting started. So let this be your moment, the one where everything shifts, where weakness becomes strength, where confusion becomes clarity, where the quiet fear of losing mobility becomes the loud confidence of taking it back. One step, one breath, one choice at a time. And if this message reached you, really reached you, please don't keep it to yourself. Share it. Send it to someone who needs to hear it. Leave a comment with what surprised you most. Or what change you're ready to make. Because the more we speak these truths, the more we help each other rise. And if you haven't already, subscribe to Health 360 Pro. Because here, we don't chase trends, we chase transformation. Real, lasting, grounded in science and love. Because you deserve more than maintenance, you deserve momentum. Thank you for walking this path with me. Thank you for trusting yourself enough to listen. We'll see you in the next video. And until then, move with grace, fuel with wisdom, and never forget, your legs don't just carry your body, they carry your life, and they are worth protecting every single step of the way.